Wow. Absolutely bonkers night. Absolutely bonkers. Man, I don't even have words for it. I didn't think that there was gonna be a way for that second 250 moto to get topped, and then it did. That's not it. That's the one. Yo, what's up, guys? Oh my God. We'll talk fantasy in a few once the things update. Once we get the final results, I'll pull that up and we'll do that. I don't want to get into it too much, but let me know. I will never pick loss again. I'm with you. Can't remember the last time I've seen Eli. That's what I was saying. Like, it was just one of those nights where we were watching it on the couch. Also, why is the music still going? It was supposed to stop. And I was telling RotoWife, I was like, he doesn't do that. That's not what happens. Like, when he goes down, which is rare, he falls over. He's a fall over guy. You know, he's a fall guy. Like, that's it. That's all we get out of Eli is some falls here and there. But man, that was a gnarly crash. I wouldn't be surprised if his knee is a little tore up. He also landed on his head, but when he landed on that tough block, his knee definitely got buckled a little bit. So when I saw that, I was like, I don't know if he's going to get back up or not. Can we just say really quick, the double-edged sword of Triple Crowns. This is my problem with Triple Crowns, but also the good part is, imagine the scenario, imagine the storyline, 450 championship point scenario, if that race, that final main, counted as its own points-paying race, and Eli getting 13th when all of his rivals went 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be cool. That'd be so good for us, because then all of a sudden Eli would lose 12 points on the pack. He would lose the red plate. He would have to play catch up, and that would make incredible drama for the season. But on the flip side, in the 250 class, the exact same scenario helped, where RJ getting dead last in the second main would have literally ended the championship. If that was a full-blown 26 points paid on that one race, RJ getting one while Jet was able to salvage that second main would have literally sealed the deal. West would be over. It would be 100% over. Just give Jet the trophy now. So it sucks because Triple Crowns really sap out when that guy that's crushing the competition has a bad round. It all averages out and it's not that bad, but it also saves us when the guy in second has a bad round, that he doesn't drop all the way off the leader. So yeah, that's my thing. If they made Triple Crowns worth extra points, it'd screw over guys. Cacti, I feel you. I would like Triple Crowns to be worth maybe double. I don't know how they would do that, but I would at least like them to be worth double. I think the riders should be. I think it was Chad Reed. Wasn't it Chad Reed that said a few years ago, you know, we're racing like 40% more than we do on any other night, but we're paid the same and we have the same amount of points. And I'm like, you know what? That's a valid critique, and I feel you on that. Keith Terrier said, future guys need to wait a bit more until pro racing. To be fair, Keith, whose idea was it to make this track map a futures one? And not just a futures one, but the first one. Because other than Kuna? I think there were two guys on the thing that raced futures last year, but other than that, everybody else, this is their first foray into the madness that is Supercross. And this track was ridiculous, man. This was a crazy track. Did not see that coming from Kitchen. Vic, kind of same. I did pick him because I thought he was going to be good, but I did pick Volan as my lead pipe lock, so I obviously didn't think Kitchen was going to be that good. But man, good for him. Good for Styles too. Not a surprise because Styles has already ran up front when he was with Rockstar, but good for both of those guys, you know. Lights on the, yeah, so Becca, good point. So the lights on the bike, I don't know if you guys saw the tweet from Weege, I think. Phil had, his triple clamps were glowing. They're apparently testing out a scenario where the leader will have a light on the bike to let everybody in the stadium know who the leader is. And it was honestly a really bright light. I was impressed. However, as cool as that is, can we have the same thing, but it's for lappers? It's for people that are lap down, to let everybody know that those guys are a lap down. You might say, why would you need that? That's stupid. And why? I would say that's because Dan Hubbard during the LCQs was talking about them catching lappers, when the lappers they were catching in like the third lap of an LCQ was actually the guys that were in transfer position. I believe it was the 450 LCQ. A-Ray and McElrath, he said they were catching lappers, but the guys they were catching were actually people that were leading the race. And I'm like, damn, sir. But I think that would also help, because imagine a scenario where, you know, if you're a lap down and there's a guy behind you, like Dean with Roczen thing, you can look, and if you're a lap down and the guy behind you doesn't have a lap down light, then you know that you need to let him go. So hopefully that would be something that'd be cool. You know, whatever. But we'll get there when we get there. Let's get these light things worked out. Let's get these light things worked out first for the leader, and then we will do more things. Ben and Sif said Deegan choked. I mean, to be fair, I don't think Deegan choked as much as Deegan did not live up to the expectations that the media has placed on him. Sure, he was the second best qualifier, but he got an okay start and he had trouble with the track like everybody else did. I don't know. That's kind of what I That's what I expected. That's what I expected for him to do, was kind of more of what he did. I don't think that's choking. I think the only reason you're saying that he's choking at all is because maybe you, I don't mean like anybody in particular in chat, like either your expectations that you yourself have done or the expectations that the rest of the media has done are too high for Deegan to come out and do anything other than that. He's young, he went out, he did fast laps, he got some racecraft, he got some gate drops. The gate drops is the point of futures. I know that there's a winner, but not really. I mean, none of this really matters. The only thing people remember is who wins the championship at the end. So we'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. You know what I mean? So, oh my God, Shadow Band. Yeah, let's talk about Filthy Phil leading most of the race. God. And I just couldn't believe that was happening. That it literally felt like a cartoon. It honestly kind of felt like Ice Age with the little dude with the little acorn. I don't remember his name. I'm too old for Ice Age. And he's like running with all of the crap going on behind him, and he's just carrying it. Like that felt like Phil. He's just running through a minefield and everything's exploding, and somehow Phil is just staying just barely ahead of all of the carnage behind him. That was incredible. Nick says Tomac looked like he hit his head pretty hard in that crash. I think he is, Nick. I'm like I said earlier, I'm more concerned about his knee, because if you watch it again, and we're not going to be doing any footage today, I need to talk to some more people before I say anything more publicly about what's going on with Feld footage. But just for now, to put it simply, we're not going to be watching any footage on here, and I apologize in advance for that. But the way his knee landed, did not do. And remember, and I don't know if it was the same knee, I'll have to go back and watch footage. Remember that he dabbed his knee, was that Atlanta last year, and then skipped a race? If it was the same knee, I'd be concerned. I would be concerned. So we'll see. Like he obviously hit his head, but I don't think he hit his head in a way that would be like super, super bad. You know what I mean? Yeah, he bonked the side of his head. Yeah. It definitely wasn't good. The head wasn't good, but luckily he kind of kept flipping. So he didn't like plant on his head, you know. Ashton said Ken Roczen with a third overall. Yeah, so I didn't get to watch. Did they interview Roczen? I hope they interviewed Roczen. Good for him. Good for Suzuki. Can we just say that Ken is building? That's not the Ken we know. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying that Ken usually starts off red hot and kind of loses it by Daytona. So this year, him building, I can't tell if this is something where him building with Suzuki might take him where he's going to peak later in the season, which would be really great for the championship, really great for him, and really great for racing. Or if it's the opposite, where him not absolutely coming out on fire to start the season, if he still falls off like he normally does once we hit about midpoint, then he's never going to quite get there, you know what I mean? So I'm just stoked. I'm stoked to have Suzuki up front running. That battle with Roczen and Eli, that was vintage. I feel like Michael Cole, my wrestling guys know. Vintage. That was vintage Tomac Roczen battles. So good. I think it was Nick from formerly Moto Limited that said I could watch this forever, and like legitimately could do that. You know what I mean? Muppet said Anderson's pass on Webb was dirty. Muppet, I disagree. So we talked about it with Dirty. It was me and you, right? Dirty Out. On the greasy meter, I give it a 1, which means that it is not a 0. It is greasy to some degree, but watching it back in slow-mo, he definitely catches that last whoop kind of goofy, and I think that carried him a little bit long into Webb. And so I don't really think he had an option. Was he coming in there hard? He was absolutely coming in there hard, but he didn't. It'd be different if he bodied him. I think it was Weege that mentioned that Anderson is really good of making contact with his front wheel instead of like the side. If Anderson wanted to body him, he would have bodied him. But the fact that it was just a little bit, I think was kind of fine. Like I just was like, obviously, Anderson isn't exactly innocent in terms of the other instances he's had this year, but that one, I'm like, that one was kind of okay. You know what I mean? Webb should have checked up. Kyle said Webb should have checked up. Regardless, it's so easy for us to make those calls now, but I don't know what it's like, and I feel like y'all are with me on this. I don't know what it's like to go fourth gear wide open down a whoop section and then be able to stop, pivot, and turn, and then also somehow worry about where the guy is behind it. Racing incident for me. Not great, but racing incident for me. Mike said, did Phil get credit for the whole shot? I believe he did. He definitely got credited with first to the finish line. He did technically lead the pack to that first line. And I think he got whole shot, but I honestly don't know because that thing was so chaotic that I kind of forgot. Max asks, why was Anderson yelling at Starling? So if you look back, Anderson's lead definitely got way shortened there. They kind of bring it up on the broadcast. They made it seem like the pack caught Anderson, but I don't think that's the case. I think Anderson got held up. And if you watch as they're going over the finish line, Starling is right in front of him. So I think that Starling might have gotten in Anderson's way. I'll have to watch it back again. Maybe we have some like alternate angles too, but Starling was definitely kind of in his business over the finish line. I think Starling probably should have just checked up in that last corner and let all of those guys go by and then just rolled on through because he was about to go a lap down, but he didn't. So I don't know. Bucky said Anderson just likes to yell at people while he has a helmet on. It makes him tough. I mean, maybe, yeah. Can we talk about the thing about Cameron McAdoo wrecking his brains out in qualifying and then somehow having like the quietest night in the main events? Like of all of the guys, he's like the only guy that didn't have any major bucking moment. And I think he might have had a small one, but nothing major. It seemed like everybody around him was just grenading themselves, and McAdoo somehow at 70% power just quietly rode himself into like a 5th or 6th place. You know what I mean? It was wild. Looks like we got points. Not quite all the way updated yet. I'll wait. I have to give it to McAdoo for riding hurt so much. Live Free, that was the thing, is that I was talking to Roto Wife about it, and I was like, the thing about McAdoo is he's not gonna back down. Like, have we ever seen him in any of the instances? Like, there are multiple times where you could be like, McAdoo shouldn't be there, and he's there. You know what I mean? When we saw, so me and her were at St. Louis, I believe it was St. Louis, when he broke his collarbone on press day, and we literally were like one of the first people. Like, I tweeted because it happened like right, they were walking down the tunnel right with us, and he was just so mad. You could tell how just fired up he is. That he's just that kind of guy that he is more fiery than he is hurt when he is injured. You know what I mean? This entire season is a lot of injuries, and we're only around 3. Yeah, I mean, you guys saw Jalik Swoll is out now. McAdoo, I mean, at least he's out there riding for Mitch still. It's just really wild. It really is just so wild. And I tweeted about this, and I got a little bit of pushback on it, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it while you're here. We need to do something with, and I'm not saying that the 450 guys don't do this, but it's the 250 guys in particular. And look at the main tonight. Like, sure, did Eli have a big get off? Yes, he did. Did some of the other 450 guys have some get offs? Did Benny do what Benny does? Yes, he did. But the 250 guys, I know they're young, they're not as experienced, but they don't know when to back it down. And I feel like when they're practicing in their little pods, because like, Star trains together, a lot of guys go over to Mumford's property, whatever it is, they're all pushing themselves so hard to just cut a 1/10 of a second and a 1/10 of a second, a 1/10 of a second. And it feels like that is a thing that is a recent occurrence. All of the riders, especially the young guys, training together is a recent thing that has become popular in the last 10 years or so. And it is the correlation of everybody. And I know we've always had injuries in this sport, but I don't remember it being like this, where literally if we get half of the factory riders 5 weeks in, that's good. And there's something about it too, where when you look at the guys that successfully transitioned to the 450 class, like Chase Sexton, what's the one thing that Chase Sexton that separated him in his 250s compared to all of the contemporaries that he raced against? It's that he did every race. Like, Chase Sexton went out and finished literally every single race. He went, like, I don't say in his entire career, but even from his rookie season, he caught almost every gate drop. And, you look at the guys that were definitely faster than, like, McElrath was faster than him. Faulkner was faster than him. Like, there were so many guys that were definitely faster than Sexton, but the difference was Sexton did every race. He was always out there for gate drops. So whatever they're doing, they need to replicate what Sexton did. And even more so, I feel like the Geico team in general seemed to keep their guys healthier than Pro Circuit, Star Racing, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Anyway, let me catch back up. PulpMX Fantasy site has the results all over the place. So William, I'll get a text, actually, for what it's worth. I'll get a text from Marks once I got it 1 minute ago. Okay. So we should be close here. I got a couple extra stats. 12,095 people picked an FFL in the 250s, and 11,631 got it right. So only 460 people picked an FFL in the 250s class and got it wrong. 450s was rougher, though. 11,000 people picked it. Only 2,700 got it right. We had 10,763 championship league teams. The average score was 221. The median was 225. And you know what's embarrassing? And Marks, if you're listening, you had to roll your eyes at this. 18% of teams got a 0 on a night where you can't get zeros. Oh man. I needed Kenny to get an FFL. Well, I went Eli because I just went by the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. It is what it is. My thing is if I got at least one of them, I'm still up 8 points. So I went with Jet and Eli because those were the guys that I thought were the most likely to get it. So it's whatever. ASND said, do you think they try these video game-like tracks for Triple Crowns for better racing? I don't really think so. I don't know why they do it. To be fair, the baseball stadiums in general, and we only have the first 3 or 4 get baseball stadiums because baseball's about to start up. So the stadiums don't want them doing all this stuff when they're going to have opening day in, a few weeks. But the shape of a baseball stadium is so much easier to make these tracks where they're not just, because most football stadiums kind of go up, back, up, and maybe there's like a little hiccup and then they come back. But the baseball stadiums definitely have way more of those where, they'll go up the right field line and then they'll cross over and they'll crisscross. Like this one had 4 different instances where the track crosses back, crossed the start straight. So I just think the baseball stadiums work out better that way. And it feels like, And Glendale too, they like to do Triple Crowns in Glendale, and that one's just a massive floor. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. And there's a lot of people asking questions about fantasy and Triple Crowns on Twitter all day. Yeah, Vic. Yeah, we're up to 22,346 people set their lineup for this one. So that's a lot, man. It's really cool that it's growing. It's growing fast too. You know what I mean? So it looks like results are up. So let me get them here. I got 269. Benny cost me 6 or 8 points there right at the end. I was a little bummed because if Benny would have stayed up and Eli would have got that FFL, we'd be flirting with 300. But is what it is. I'll take the 269. Looking at the admins league, see how the other experts did. Yep, Steve got me by 6. JT got me by 4. Dan still bringing up the rear. Not a good start for Dan, man. At least he beat the Mulligan runner, but not a good start for Dan. But I'll take this early season lead. Benjamin said, I heard San Diego was horrible for parking. I don't know, because yeah, that's a new venue, so I don't know what the parking would be like. I heard that this one was supposed to be better for parking and things like that, so I don't know. Steve said, I did terrible. Don't know what I was thinking taking Lopes. I like Lopes a lot. I mean, you guys, how many of you guys watch the video? Like, actual question, I won't judge at all. How many of you guys watch the videos that I put up on YouTube for fantasy and you like actually take it to heart? Because it doesn't matter. I get paid flat rate just for making them, so it doesn't bother me if you guys actually listen to them or not. But I'm just curious how many people take it to heart. I never do good on Triple Crowns. Bugman, I'm with you. I don't like the Triple Crowns either. What's funny is I don't like Triple Crowns and I don't like outdoors because of the consistency needed to dominate a format that has multiple races. But somehow I'm actually good at them. I just don't like them. It doesn't make any sense, you know? Vic said I was at San Diego. It was just long wait and long traffic sitting while leaving the stadium. We were not moving for 2 hours. That sucks, Vic. I never thought about it, Vic, but like Indy is the only one we drive to. But at Indy, the exit to the freeway is literally right next to the stadium. So it's so easy to get out. And then when we do St. Louis is the only other one that we religiously do. We always just like grab a cab. We always get an Airbnb or hotel room and stuff like that. So I don't know yet. I definitely listen when we say, Max, I appreciate you. Ronnie said, AC starts are good, just needs to hold the speed. And I agree, Ronnie, I agree. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I had a take on Twitter and people got really whatever about it. I'm tired of the AC rebuilding his career narrative that they're spinning on it. Like, Adam is not okay with getting a third place start and getting railed by every single person he considers a peer, and he ends up in 9th place. That's not good. He doesn't like that. Like, I know that somebody said, oh, they're trying to explain why he's just letting guys go by. And I'm like, he just knows he's not at their pace yet. He's not rebuilding his career like Justin Hill is rebuilding his career. You know what I mean? AC missed almost a whole year, but that's not whatever. Aaron said, mad respect for Cameron for finishing that crash vest. Yeah, 100%. I'm not surprised at all. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, with him out. And I'm like, he's not going to be out. If he can ride, he'll ride. Mitch isn't making him do it. There's no contract obligation to put bikes on the track. Cameron McAdoo wants to ride his dirt bike. He wants to race his dirt bike. And if he is physically capable, he will get on and ride his dirt bike. And he was doing great. So good for him. AC needs to miss no races. I agree, Keith. I agree. Yeah, AC's number one goal right now is to get the gate drops, and we'll worry about it later. The field will thin out. We will have guys missing, and if AC can just stay on 2 wheels, do every main event, he's gonna get into those. He's gonna eventually put himself into a good position. You know what I mean? Joey asks, how good do you think J-Mart is gonna do in the East? Do you mean on the opener or for the full season? Because Joey, I'm not gonna lie, I think on the opener he's gonna be very competitive, and I wouldn't see him. I wouldn't be surprised to see him challenge for a race win, but for the season, when's the last time Jeremy Martin finished half the races in a season? I was there in, was it 2018? when he won the East-West Showdown in Indy. I was there, and I think that was like the last time he won. That was a long time ago. It might have been 2019, but it's been a long time. So I don't know. It's been a while. I get what they're saying with AC, but they say, yeah, that's the thing, Cacti, is I'm not saying, like, the first race, I was like, okay, but every time he's on the TV, that's, like, all they have to talk about. And I'm like, yo, Adam Cianciarulo has so many cool things about him. There are so many things you could talk about that are actually relevant that we want to hear. This is not one of them. You know what I mean? Underground Upholstery says, let's just talk RJ. I'm still a little lost for words. I want you guys to know this is why, for my Patreon supporters, shout out to the Patreon homies. One of the Patreon homies is getting a Colt Nichols jersey. So last chance to get on that if you want. I say on the Patreon pod for fantasy every week, I will not pick RJ, I will not pick McAdoo, because I cannot trust them to not crash. And that's it. You know, does RJ have the speed? Yes, absolutely. But the difference is, I don't know what it is, because Jet also wrecked tonight, multiple times tonight. But the difference is when Jet wrecks, he falls over and gets up and finishes it. When RJ wrecks, his bike is no longer rideable. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Feed Up says, what's the deal with the lights on Phil's Blue Crew? So Weege actually said on Twitter that they were testing a technology to be able to show who is leading the race. So if you guys know right now, there are, I think, 3 spots on the track where they have a pillar on the inside of a bull turn, and they normally have that flash whenever the leader is going by, so you can see where the leader is. But they're apparently testing this technology, and this is like the first week they've tested it, and they just put it on a couple bikes just so they could turn it on, turn it off, and see how it worked. But it just so happened that Phil was one of the guys that they put the prototype on, and he actually led the race. So they were like, flick that thing on, let's see what's happened. So like, I thought that was super cool, and I'm totally in on it. I think that's really cool. They could definitely make a lot of cool use for that. You know what I mean? Dirt Bikes and Disc Golf said, every year they say RJ's getting better, and this is his year, and every year he proves that wrong by round 4. And I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm not being critical of RJ Hampshire or Michael Mosman or any of these other guys, but how many years are we going to give them these factory rides? I don't have the numbers ready for me right now, but I was shocked when I went through and was like, how many seasons have these guys been on a 250? And RJ is at 8 or 9 years. Oldenburg's at 11. I know he's not on a factory bike anymore, but like 11 years in the 250 class. And I know that Phil is old, but everybody knows he's not there for a title. But like, how many years can Rockstar or, you know, Pro Circuit with like Faulkner, for example, like how many years can they keep bringing these guys that absolutely have the speed to compete for the title, but they can't do it 8 times in a row? You know, it's just Dylan Patton asks, do we know how much money these guys make? Are their contracts published somewhere? Dylan, that's the fun thing. You don't. There is actually nothing anywhere public about how much money they make. The only thing we know is how much they make from Feld. The purse money is public, but that is like a tiny little chunk of how much they actually get paid. We don't know what their contract is. We don't know what their signing bonuses. We don't know what their bonuses for winning, for top 3s, for top 5s, what have you is. We literally have no idea. Like, Ken Roczen could be worth $3 million or $1 billion, and I have no idea. It's somewhere between $3 million and $1 billion. It's just, that's what we got. That's all we know. So that's it. Cacti Tiger said, if a factory guy wins a race or 2 every season, despite always getting hurt, I think they should still be on the team. That's fair. That's fair. Because who are you going to replace him with? But it's just at one of those, at some point, you gotta, like, we gotta figure something out. You know what I mean? So, question for y'all. Jet moves up this year. Confirmed. Let's say Hunter wins the East, because let's be honest, he probably will. If he stays healthy, he probably will. Then he points out, he moves up. Who is the next guy? Who are the next people that you think challenge for the 250 title? Do you think RJ, Mosman, those kind of guys turn it around and figure it out and put together, McAdoo, they put together a season and win a title? Or do you think it's more, do we look towards Kitchen, Styles, maybe Joe, but I feel like Joe is more in that first group that I mentioned because he's done well, but not quite there. You know what I mean? Like, it will be kind of nice when the Lawrences leave, because then it's gonna be kind of like wide open season again of having no idea who's gonna win the title. But I don't know. Smith wins East Coast. Michael, I would love to see it. Mosman, Shimoda, Styles, and Kitchen. Thrasher. Thrasher's a good pick. I like that. Kitchen, Shimoda. McAdoo steps up. Okay, Maximus. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. Joe is super young. And you know what, though? Practice crash aside, Joe reminds me of a young Chase Sexton. I say young as if they're not like 3 years apart. But the one thing about Joe up until this year is he has done all of the gate drops. And I think that's important. And I think that's why Joe was the guy that was tagged to compete with Hunter on the East, because Joe just simply does the gate drops. Aaron McAdoo said, I think Seth Hammaker's underrated. I agree, Aaron. I don't know if he's underrated. I think he's properly rated. We just need him to stay healthy. I would love to see how many races he could win if he could stay healthy. Because he has 3, I believe. I don't know. It's interesting. Underground asks, does Maximus have another year? From what I understand, this is a contract year from him. So he needs to put up or get out. Josh Deal said, how about Cody Schock ends up second? I'll take that bet. How much you want to put on it? Enzo, basically, I'm in it. I would love Enzo Lope to do it. Can we just talk about how unfortunate, how unlucky, if you will, the JGR Suzuki squad was? Because I don't know if you guys remember or not, but Enzo Lopes came up with JGR. They had him for 2 or 3 years, like 2018, 19, 20. And then he took a year off, or he just didn't race, or he maybe raced overseas or something. And I'm like, man, JGR was that close. Like, they knew that Lopes was something special. He just wasn't ready yet, so. Colton says, still think Webb can win the championship. You say still think like I said that I thought he could before, and I didn't. But, I mean, there's no reason to think he can't. I don't think he's the favorite. I still think it's Eli. I don't know. It's going to be good racing. Either way, it's going to be good racing. It's definitely going to be good racing, you know? Lopes was hurt at the end of 2020. Vic, he might have been. I can't remember. It's been so long. Toast Senior says, was Webb dirty blocking to keep Eli from going? I don't know about that. But I will say I would love to rewatch it, because there is a moment where Webb and Eli are going down that rhythm, and Eli's just slightly behind, and they have to do that 90 degree to the triple. And that was the one where a lot of the guys were jumping to the inside. Webb takes the outside line, and Eli looks like he's going inside, and the camera cuts, because that wasn't the battle we were following. That was just what I could see off to the side. And the camera cuts, and you can hear the crowd. But then when we see Eli and Webb again, Webb is still in front, and there was a gap. And when I heard the crowd, I was like, oh, Eli got Webb. But then when they came around, that didn't happen. And I wonder if Webb did anything. Like, maybe Eli thought he was going to be able to cut Webb off, and Webb just didn't back down or whatever. I don't think it was anything dirty, but like, I want to go back and watch the broadcast again and try to break down the line that Eli was taking, if there was anything that could be done there. And hopefully maybe we can get a little bit of footage out of like Tommy Tenders. He might have happened to be there. So will be interesting to see. Cacti said Lopes picked the worst race. You're right though. He could have Lopes could have been the guy. He could have won that for sure. Shadowban said, what happened to Craig this season? I thought he'd be better. I think the problem, Shadow, because we talked about this last week, I feel like this is right where Craig should be. My thing is, whenever I look at these riders, I always try to do who should they beat every week? I think Christian Craig could absolutely get 7th. I think he can. I think he can totally do it, but I can't ever expect that out of him, because do you on an average night, do you think that Craig should beat Sexton every night? No. Do you expect him to be Anderson, Roczen, Webb, Ferrandis, Tomac? The answer for me is no. Do I expect him to beat Plessinger? Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised for him to beat Plessinger on any given night. I don't expect him to beat Barcia. I don't expect him to beat AC, but I wouldn't be surprised. So just by going by that logic, we'll put Barcia up here. That means that Craig is probably an 8 to 12 guy on most nights, and that's what he's been. Now, he's been more on the 12 than the 8, but I still think that on any given night, Christian Craig is going to be an 8 to 12. But for him to hit that 8, he either needs a little bit of help from guys going down in front of him, or he needs to get a start. And one of Craig's best assets throughout his career has been his starts, but he has not been getting them this year. So I would like to see what happens if Craig got a start. I think he could run with those guys, at least for a little while. But right now, the field is just so stacked. It's just so hard. Mike Honcho said, Deegan always crashes or wins, but for sure, always spanks Daxton. Did you watch the same race we watched, Mike? Did you watch that? You might want to go watch it. You go watch it and you come back. You come back. Colton said, I hope Shimoda has a chance to win East Coast. I heard he's only going to miss one race. Colton, I haven't heard how many. I think it's wide open. Hunter Lawrence is not like a pillar of staying on two wheels, staying healthy, and getting it done. So if everybody misses a round, then the door is totally open for Joe. But even with him, even if he doesn't miss, even if he only misses one, still having a bum collarbone is not ideal. So I don't have a ton of hope for him. You know what I mean? It's that Husky. Shadow, you say that though, but look at how good the rock stars have been. Like, Malcolm's been getting great starts. The 250 guys been getting great starts. The futures guys on the Rockstar Husky have been doing great starts. So I don't know. Reading Wikipedia said, how can we rewatch the broadcast? They'll be up on Peacock. It just might not be immediately. Sometimes there's like a little bit of a delay, but it should be up. It should be up soon. Brody said, oh man, that race was crazy. I was there, and it looked like Tomac was looking down on his bike after the crash. Oh, for sure, Brody. Like, there's no way his bike wasn't at least mangled a little bit. His bars, I mean, at minimum, his bars were banged up. So, him coming back and still getting, what did he get, 13th, I think? Good for him, man. Good for him. Again, like I said earlier, it just sucks because, not that I want Tomac to fail, I'm not like rooting against him, but just for the sake of the title drama and the storylines of it, I would have loved for Eli to have gotten 13th. I think he got 13th in that last one. And get full points for that, because then that way Sexton gains 13 on him. Anderson gains 10 back on him. Roczen gains 8, Webb gains 6 back on him, I think. You know, like that would have tightened everything up so much, and then he would have lost the red plate, and then it would have been Eli charging to get it back. That would have been an incredible thing. So the Triple Crowns, for me, they are incredible for like a single night of drama, but they really, really, really kind of take away like season-long drama when we bring everything back to an average. You know what I mean? So I don't have a solution. I don't have a solution for the problem. It's just one of those where I like watching Triple Crowns while they're on, but once they're over, I hate them, if that makes sense. Aaron said, I was hoping Tomac would podium. That would have been great. Yeah, if you guys didn't see, Lit Kit, can we just talk Lit Kits? Let me know about y'all. Jet had 3 different Antisocial Social Club collaboration kits. He had a light pink one. He had the magenta one that had kind of like a checkered Harlequin pattern. And that yellow and magenta that he did in the third moto was incredible. Oh my God, that thing was so sick. I love that so much. But then Anderson, Sexton, and Tomac, all 3 of the Alpine Stars guys in the 450 class, were all wearing Alpine Star kits that were modeled after some of Ken Block's Alpine Stars like racing uniforms, and they were all super, super cool. So you know, not to be insensitive about it, but like we're 4 weeks into the season and then Ken's accident happened even longer ago than that. Like, I'm a little over it. I'm a little over them running the Ken Block ad every show. But that was one I'm like, no, that's great. I'm totally fine. If you're going to do something like that, that's perfect. Love that. Do that. That's perfect. You know what I mean? Drew Jones said, dude, Jet's kits were sick. So sick. Yeah. And then he had some neck thing on his podium interview. I didn't notice that. I did like the, his goggles on that last one were like a very pale pink and white, probably because it matches first kit. That was just a really cool colorway. It's a different colorway. I know it's not for everybody, but I thought it was cool. Benjamin said, FXR got that hot 90s look, and I love it. I need more of that. You know what I mean? Sleep Outside said it would have been cool for Roczen to win. I agree. I want Roczen to win on the Suzuki really bad. I like Suzuki. I don't know. I just think the yellow bikes look great. My last bike was a Suzuki. I had an RMZ 250, and it was yellow and teal. You guys know, you can see right here. I love those colors, but I agree. I would love to see it. Aaron said Alpine Stars actually flew Leah Block and Ken's family. That's so cool. That's really cool. I didn't know that. That's rad. T. Anthony said, I usually rode against Tomac just because I tend to root for underdog, but I was very much hoping Tomac. Oh, you don't want him hurt. Yeah, no, I'm with you. The thing is, T, is I don't want somebody to beat Tomac on a technicality. If Anderson or Sexton or whoever beats them, I want them to beat Tomac because they beat Tomac. Not because Tomac got injured and he was at 40% for a couple rounds or whatever it is. Like, no, like, I'm with you. I don't want him to get hurt at all. Max Lauren said, do you think we see the white Hondas again? I love those so much. Max, I was so bummed because when they had those on press day in the pits for Anaheim 1, and then they didn't ride them, I was so mad, dude, because that white Honda looks so good, especially the white Honda with the really bright gear like Jets was really phenomenal. I am kind of partial to bikes being the color that they're supposed to be. If nothing else for the broadcast, it's just a lot easier to identify the guys that are further away. But there was at least one time where I was like, oh, was that Craig? And it was Sexton. But, you just see white in the background. And so, Josh said, Ken Block was a huge influence on Supercross and the energy drinks and sponsors we have. Well, yeah, obviously. Doug said, Jeff looked like Shazam that last moto. Wished he would have said Shazam. That would have been cool. It was like the early 90s with that kid. Yeah, dude. Those colors were really, really, really good. Super good. Yeah. Colton said, I'm not the hugest Tomac fan and I want someone else to win, mainly because I'm a very big fan of Dungey now. And when I was younger and Tomac was a big threat to Dungey. No, I feel you. Colton, I had the same thing with Emig. Like, I was a McGrath fan growing up. So when Emig was challenging McGrath, I was like, but I got over it. And later on, I really liked Jeff Emig and rooted for him. But definitely not in 1997, I didn't, Oh, did anyone know? Yeah, so Brody, we talked about it earlier. It's a test. So they only had it on a couple bikes, and Phil was one of those bikes, and it just so happened that he was in the lead for a little bit. So that was pretty cool. Benjamin said, yeah, Gas needs to go purple or something. Why isn't anybody purple, man? I want a purple bike so bad. I would love for there to be a purple bike out there. Even gray, just don't do other red. Do a dark red. Do something different. I don't know. Aaron said, I'm watching all 24 hours of Daytona and kind of funny seeing Joey Savacci race. Yeah, isn't that cool? That is so cool. Dylan asked, do we know if Triumph is going to be black or something? I have no idea. And it sucks because I've actually got to work on a little bit of Racer X projects, and it seems like nobody really knows anything. They are literally being that. And I don't know if that's good or bad because I don't have anything to comment on it, but they are definitely being very, very protective of their design or whatever. So it'll be exciting when they finally tell us. So Max Lawrence said, I wish Gas could have their own color. If they did, what color would it be and what color would be Triumph's be? Yeah, I have no idea. I think you could do a light blue, which I'm really bummed Club isn't doing the light blue because they're like white and light blue last year was really hot, but you could do a light blue, you could do a turquoise, purple, obviously. Gray, Yeah, I don't know. Clear. I thought Triumph was going to be British Racing Game. They've said that, Joey, but I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything concrete on it. I've just heard that that was a rumor. Matt said, have to give it up to DB. He was great in the booth. I do like DB. I will say, we talked about it on Twitter a little bit with Arena Cross, because Arena Cross had 2 former racers in the booth and no like true play-by-play guy. And I will say, as much as I do like DB and I think he does a really good job, I would rather DB slot in for Ricky and we have a more traditional play-by-play guy than to have DB and Ricky. But I don't hate it. It's much better than having Monster Cross Todd. So I'll take it. But, you know, is what it is. Aaron said Gas could be orangish yellow to match the Spanish flag. Oh, yeah, for sure. That'd be cool. James said, need to bring back Jeff on TV. I agree. I love Jeff. I miss Jeff. I want to know what happened. It doesn't matter. But I want to know, did Jeff want to leave or did they want Ricky and Jeff just had to go? Becca's got the best point. Brayton on Race Day Live was incredible. There was a point where they were showing, was it Kitchen? I think it was Kitchen. Or it was Kitchen or Low. No, it was Kitchen. No, it was Voland. They were showing Voland, and the camera literally cut from Voland to Lopes, and I don't even think Brayton took a breath. He literally just stopped talking about it and immediately started talking about the next guy. And it was literally like nobody else has transitioned as smoothly as he did. It was incredible. Oh, yeah, Dylan, my favorite one was Ricky was like, oh, watch this. And then he was like, oh, he didn't do it. And I'm like, Ricky, at least tell us what he was gonna do. Oh. David said, what about Webb saying the track was weak for the kids today? Didn't look weak. I don't know. I didn't catch that. Drew said, what's the story with Ralph and Jeff? Jeff has a great presence on screen. People forget he overcame legit. Yeah, there's actually a documentary of some sort I remember finding on accident about Jeff Emig, and he talks a lot, especially at the beginning of the documentary, about his speech impediment and how he overcame it and stuff. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that bad. You know what I mean? Keith said the old XRs were so good for the color scheme. I agree. Husky said Emig wanted to stay, Feld wanted RC. I guess you could say RC was in the perfect position. Benjamin, Ricky is just talking to people that ride. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if I had a race tech rant, too much of our industry, including fans, think everybody is a rider and everybody is a racer, and that's not true. I have recruited multiple people in my life that have like never really been on a dirt bike, and if they had, it was when they were a kid, that love the sport, watch the sport, get into the sport, and they don't ride at all, so they don't understand all of that little nuance. So there's definitely a reason why you need that. I know there are memes on Ralph saying red Honda and whatever, but there's definitely a place for that to get people up into it. You know what I mean? So Aaron said Motocross Action posted about Webb saying they toned the Supercross track for the futures. The only thing that I'll say, Aaron, they did change the finish line jump. They just moved it. It was supposed to go over the finish or the start straight, the first start straight, like the wider start straight, and then they just moved it to go over the second one. I talked to Corey from Dirtworks about that, but other than that, the only other thing I saw them do was after the sand section. If you watched the video I did with Cade Clayson on Racer X, through the sand section, and then you go across the start straight, and then you take that bull turn to come back, there was a jump there they took out, but I don't think that was really that big of a deal. I was like, oh, they didn't take that. They took that out. That sucks, you know. Keith said Deegan is bringing hordes of young women fans. I don't know about all that. That is a good point. Yeah, we need somebody to talk to those people. I know it can be incredibly difficult for us sometimes, but we need something. Nate, we've talked about Eli's crash 4 times already. We'll probably touch on it again, but we still have a bunch of other stuff to cover. Ryan said, Ricky, see, there he is. Everything's fine. Oh, he misses a whoop and he's just a passenger at this point. Yeah. Take a shot every time Ricky says, to your point. He says, to your point, David. To your point, Daniel. To your point, Ralph. To your point, Lee. Every time. Every time. He did it like 7 times tonight. Jed is bringing the TikTok generation to Supercross. Yo, I'm terrified. I'm terrified with all of these young riders and their young female fan base because I want to know which one of them is inevitably going to be in a scandal. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. A must situation. Johnny, get out of here. You be nice. Leave Ricky alone. He's doing great. He makes so much money, we can make fun of him just a little bit. You know what I mean? They need to get rid of the start device and the steel start grate. It's taking out the rider ability too much. Sleep, I don't know. Like I want to say I feel you, but it just feels like a lot. The starts I think are just as volatile as they were before we had all of those things. Now, on the other hand, I think that we should absolutely get rid of start devices for safety issue because a lot of the start straight crashes we see are because of that. Like Faulkner's is a prime example of what happens when it won't release because you can't control the bike like you want to because somebody is currently touching you. And maybe Faulkner doesn't crash if he doesn't have a start device there, but it's hard to say, you know. Look at that emotion. Brahma said they could just play the same tape of Ricky commenting in every round and I wouldn't notice a difference. You're probably right. You're probably right. Dylan said, I'm so ignorant. Can you explain the hold shot device? Of course, Dylan. So the fork normally compresses over bumps. What the hold shot device does is they'll actually like hold their front brake and push it forward and then it'll compress it and then they'll have a little switch that will lock it in place so the forks in the front are short and that's going to make the front end sit lower on the start. So if you have a lower front end, it's going to be easier for you to put power to the ground without doing a wheelie or flipping it. So a whole shot device just starts the front wheel lower. And then the way is it's a hooking mechanism. So once they get to the first corner and they brake and start to hit bumps, that hook will, it will like compress and then slip loose. But the problem is if the rider gets into trouble before he brakes hard enough for that to disengage, then he's not going to be able to steer very well because the whole bike is designed to work at a certain angle and it just can't because that angle's not available. Jason said, AP is having a great ride here. Rick, it's lap 2, my guy. Can you wait to see where he ends up? I feel it. Oh, Colton said thoughts on Hampshire's race. It's so hard to say because his first race was great. We see that RJ every year, but his second one obviously was not so good. And his third one, he got a bad start, but I can't tell if he was physically banged up so much. That maybe he just didn't charge, but he was just nowhere. He was just nowhere there, Joey said they can just make the first straight like 50 feet shorter or have more left-hand turns. Maybe. That's fun to think about. Shadowban said, who's going to fill in for PC? I think we see Yoder. I think we should see Yoder. I don't know if we will, but I think he deserves it. I would love to see what that kid has to offer. Remember that he was part of the Geico program. He was the next one to turn pro and ride for Geico. And then that would just happen. Him and Mumford. Well, Mumford did get to ride like 2 or 3, but it was Mumford and Yoder were the next 2 in that pipeline. And it sucks because Yoder, he wasn't there yet, so he still had a year of amateurs. And by the time he came back to go pro, everybody was full. He had nowhere to go. He had to go to the Ty Loop Honda team, which no disrespect to that team. I'm sure that they do fine work, but, they never have really put up results. Grant Harlan was with them last year and just left and just pieced out in the middle of the season. I don't know why, but I feel like it might have been a bike issue or a team issue or whatever. And then they've had trouble holding riders. Jordan Bailey also was supposed to ride for Ty Lube and then just pieced out. But anyway, Hunter Yoder, that's where he ended up. He tried a few races last year and he did okay. But I just don't think that program was a good fit. And then this year he's on PRMX, which is with Cade. And like he's doing incredibly good. He's made every main event. He's running up with that pack. I would love to see what Hunter Yoder could do under a training program like the factory guys. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Andre said, who do you think are East Coast champ contenders? I think it's Hunter, Hunter, and Hunter at this point, if I'm being honest. I don't think Michael keeps it on two wheels for 9 races. Joe already is down a race, and I don't think we can... I think it's too much to expect Tom to do anything like that on his very first year. Not yet, you know? Tell me J21 is giving his 2023 a slow burn on the rise to the top. Hey, at least he's back up there. How many points down is he now? It was more than 4. Because Sexton and Webb are 4. Anderson is now only down 14. That's still a lot, though, you know. Deegan is supposed to be confirmed for East Supercross, rumor via magazine guy. I've heard that internally for my things. I have heard that, but from what it seems like, it is not a done deal. It is not a done deal that Deegan rides East. Now that could have changed. That was like 2 days ago. It's Mountain Dew. It's actually not. It's Fountain Mist. It's homemade Mountain Dew. But yeah, so as of 2 days ago, it was still, if things go well, Deegan, but I don't know how go well is, you know what I mean? Remember when car manufacturers, oh yeah, Mazda and Toyota. You know what, Toyota still does to a lesser degree. They're just not on the shroud anymore, but Toyota Escondido still puts a lot of money into the sport. We like that. Aaron McAdoo said, if anything, it'll be selective East Coast Slim. Yeah, it'll be selective for sure. I think that Deegan should do another Super Futures. I think he should do one more Futures before he jumps in. I really do. If they wanna throw him in and see if he sinks or swims, that's fine too. I think that's fine. But if it was me and I was making the decisions, I would want him to do one more. You know what I mean? Moon Mist from Fago is so much better than Mountain Dew. Well, they're both more expensive than my homemade soda. So, but that sounds great. Deegan was starting to get shouted. There's no such thing, Jake. You stop that right now. Husky said, why are the Mariners? I've been a Mariners fan since I was like 6 years old. I have a really good habit of rooting for losers. And so here we are. I have like 20 Mariners hats. So most of the hats I wear will be Mariners, but not always. What happened to Hymus and Ryder D? Joey hurt. Ryder D broke his thumb, I believe, a week or two ago. And Hymus they actually are planning for him to go pro outdoors. So I don't even think they're really that worried about Supercross right now. Velocity said, in your opinion, does PC need a complete team refresh aside from McAdoo and Shimoda? I think the problem, Velocity, I'm going to say no, because who do they bring in? Like, let's say they do. Let's say they say, look, Austin, it's been fun. You got to go. They get rid of Reynolds. They get rid of Ryder D. I think that if you build around, you get rid of McAdoo and you build around Hammaker in Shimoda. But if you get rid of all those other guys, who do you bring in instead? You know what I mean? Like, you could do Enzo. But I think Enzo likes the club. I don't know if he wants the pressure of factory. I think he likes where he is. But I mean, you could bring in Enzo, but other than Enzo, who else do you do other than you go and you mine, you know, some amateurs and hope for the best? So, I don't know. Drew said, thanks for pioneering the best post-race live stream. Absolutely, Drew. Absolutely. It's late and I'm tired, but it's fun. It's fun, and I know you guys really appreciate it. So, Dylan, Mitch taking his blood pressure meds tonight. Could you imagine Mitch's... I would have loved to have a camera, like Drive to Survive style, on Mitch the moment McAdoo crashed in those whoops. Like, what was his... You know, like, I don't even have words. Like, I just couldn't even imagine what it would be like. You know what I mean? Ronald said, so Colt Nichols isn't taking advantage of one of the best 450 rides he could have ever got. Is it too soon to say he's been a bust? Ronald, I don't think he's been a bust because I think this is where everybody thought he was going to be. You know, there are 12 factory riders every year, give or take. And he's the 12th place guy right now. He got 12th last week. He got 12th this week. You know, with all due respect to him, I think he is the lowest tier factory guy. So it should be him, Craig, and maybe AP indoors. I think AP will do better outdoors, but I think those are the three guys that belong at that bottom of the factory guys window. And so, you know, I don't know. BD Color said, I wish PC had a show like Hard Knocks. I just wish that more of the teams did it, because Star is apparently going to be doing their thing, but they just haven't done it yet. PulpMX has been killing it. I hope you guys have been watching. They're one of the teams, them and Team Solitaire, that have warmed up to me so much, even when I was like nobody and nobody cared about who I was or what I was doing. But Mike Bonacci over at PulpMX has gone out of his way to talk to me and to make me feel welcome in the sport, in the pits, and they've been killing that vlog thing. So please support, please support PulpMX all you can. Jeremy says, go Payson Johnson. Absolutely, go Payson Johnson. Aaron said, Star just posted the first one. Was it today or was it yesterday? I haven't been on. Dude, I put out 4 videos yesterday. 5? 4 videos on YouTube, 2 videos on Instagram, and something on Twitter. It was a bad day. J-Law on PC. Shadow, you stop it right now. Yesterday, okay. Kelly, yeah. Let's talk about Derek Kelly. Let me look at the results because I had some things to say, but once we actually get talking, I always forget. Kelly ended up 7th overall. Oh, can we talk about Josh Cartwright qualifying 15th straight into the main event, and then I think he was 17th or 18th for at least the majority of the first main. I don't remember where he actually finished, but man, where did that come from? Because Cartwright, what's funny is Mad Parts Kawasaki, which is Bubba Polly's team, he had Cartwright last year. It was Cartwright and Cross. And I don't know what happened. I don't want to say he kicked him off or whatever, but like obviously Cartwright and Cross left and he brought in John Short and Freddie Noren. And I was like, oh wow, what an upgrade. That's a crazy upgrade. Like this Mad Parts team, those are 2 legit main event guys. And then Cartwright has come out of nowhere. And he like just straight up makes 2 of the first 3 mains like nothing. Is like a true blue privateer. He got straight out of the heat race last week. He gets straight out of qualifying this week. Like absolute props go out to that guy. He literally has a full-time other gig and then races on the weekend, and he's out here doing it. So absolutely, he deserves recognition. He is sick, man. He is, Jay, getting support, but he's not, like, he's not. I wish that was more clear what that is, you know what I mean? But I know that his bike is not like theirs or whatever. Cartwright, I got that one. Cartwright's Savachi back to PC for the East. He can't. He actually can't. He cannot. He pointed out. The rule that they changed for this year, it's not retroactive. That's why Justin Cooper, Colt Nichols can't come back. Savachi can't come back. Obviously, Craig can't come back. Somebody said Bogle, like all those, they can't come back to the 250 class. If they pointed out before, they're still not pointed out. Some guys moved up willingly. They could come back down, like Hartraft could come down, Freeze has come down, but the other guys are SOL. Why did Masterpool? I have no idea, but I will say, and I don't know anything about the Masterpool family. I don't have anything bad to say about them, but like they have, those kids have not had a good luck at all sticking around with any teams, and The common denominator is the master pool name. So I don't know anything. I'm not saying anything. It's just one of those of, you know, it happened. Whatever happened, happened, and it continues to happen. Ryan said, can you explain the top factory teams versus B level and any others? Not really. The simplest terms is a factory team means that they get support directly from the manufacturer. So, you know, Honda, HRC factory Honda, they are going to get parts that Honda literally designed for them. Like, there is no better R&D department than the company that literally makes the bikes originally. Where a B-level team, so if we said HRC Honda was up here because of the factory, we go Moto Concepts Honda, which was, they get some factory things, but they don't get everything. But the difference between a factory bike and a second tier bike is actually not that big, but the real difference is the amount of resources the team has in terms of like facilities, mechanics, spare parts, trainers, their health and wellness programs. Like, that's the big step. So when we look at somebody like Hunter Yoder, who, with all due respect to the team, I think PRMX is more like that third tier. The difference between his program and Pro Circuit would be like going from, you know, a county school like I went to where we had to ride your tractor to a school day, to going to like a prep school where just the amount of resources available to you would just be so much, you know what I mean? So it's hard to, that's really all I can say is that would be the big gap, you know what I mean? Michael said Master Pool's definitely outdoor, dude. No, I mean, but he's gotten results indoor. He just can't, I don't know. He just can't do it. He was supposed to be with the AEO team last year, and he didn't post anything on socials about it. He doesn't really do social media. And then they just announced like 6 weeks in that he left the team, and he never even raced for him. So I don't know. Sleep said they should just open up the 250 class to anyone and have a 125 futures. I agree. The problem is, Sleep, is that a 125 is just straight up not equipped to do these obstacles. The way these tracks are designed, you really need a 4-stroke that has that adequate power. And I think the problem is if we were going to put futures on a 125 class, or just have a 125 class in Supercross at all, they're going to have to tone the tracks down significantly to make the obstacles and sections doable on a 125. So it just sucks because I would love to see that, but I just don't think it would happen. You know what I mean? Nate said, what do you think the chances are the Jet wins a title? 0. I don't think he beats everybody here. You know, I think I can't see that happening. I don't see him beating everybody that's here currently. He's going to have some bad races. It happens, you know. Aaron said also sponsorship because Cowie and Honda can't bring their amateurs up through 125 as they don't make them. That's true too. That's true. Ronnie asked, any news for 250 East Pro Circuit Kawasaki team? No, but I have heard they're not going to have anybody be able to compete for the title because that's just not available yet. But I have heard that they might put Mumford on the East instead, because the plan was originally for him to fill in for Faulkner once we come back for Oakland. But that was when we had Hammaker and Shimoda healthy. So I do believe that they might shift Mumford to the East Coast, so at least they have a guy on each coast until one of them can come back or whatever. But not confirmed yet. Hopefully we'll hear about that very soon. You know what I mean? So many of the 250 guys aren't ready to be on a 450. Nope. And they'll get there. They'll get there when they get there. It's just going to take some reps. You know what I mean? But I'm going to end it there. It's 2:09 in the morning, and I'm tired. If you guys want, this is the last chance. I'm gonna shamelessly self-promote. So, you know, I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm not. This is the last weekend to enter to win the jersey. I know Moto guys like raffles. You can treat this as a raffle as you want. It's $5 for Patreon. That gets you an entry for the jersey. We don't have that many Patreons. There's not that many people entered, so your chances are actually realistic. This would be like the best opportunity if you want something like an actual sublimated, authentic jersey, like from one of the riders. This is the best way to do it. There's nowhere else where you can just put $5 down and get an entry into it. But yeah, I know you guys love your Facebook raffles, so let's do it. I'm gonna get you a link to the Patreon in case you want to do it. It really helps me. I don't make anything for doing this with you guys at all. Not even a little bit. So come on, man. Oh, man. There we go. Mute. Okay. There's the link. There's the link. That took me way too long, but I got it. But I will see you guys next week. It'll be earlier. We'll be in Houston, so it's going to be a little bit earlier, which is really nice. So once we get to the East Coast, everybody can stay up a little bit later. Maybe we'll have some more fun. But thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. I will see you next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.